So I hope whatever we have read so far is clear to all of you. If not, I hope it will be clear by the end of class today. Okay. So where were we yesterday? By the way, this Friday we will discuss PYQs from Unit 1 and 2. Unit 1 and 2 this Friday. Okay, today is 9th June, right? 9th June. Okay. Yes. Just a second. Yes. Now, your first test, first class test, scheduled for 27th of June. First class test, it will be officially mailed to you also. Okay. Right now I am informally informing you. Officially you will get a mail. First class test is on 27th June. These two units, unit 1 and 2. Okay. 27th June is Sunday. So even working professional people can attempt the test. Now, I would not want anyone to write the test on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday according to their convenience. Okay. If you have decided to prepare for this exam, you should forget about convenience. When UPSC would tell you, you have exam on Sunday, you cannot give any excuse. You just would have to go to the center. Okay. So Sunday is the exam, 27 June. That's it. Okay. Okay, so yesterday we were talking about critique of scientific method. Let me ask you one question. क्या लिखा है? Tomorrow onwards, I'll also have my device through which I would be able to read the questions standing here itself. I would not need to go to camera and see क्या बोल रहे हैं क्या. Okay, that will be more convenient to me. Let me ask you one question. Light travels faster than sound. Right or wrong? Yes. Is this statement scientific or not? Scientific bhi hai. Okay. Okay, now when I asked you, is this statement scientific? You said yes. Now it means that we can test it. We can test it. Okay. You can call something scientific only if you can test it. Can I test it? Yes. How can I test it? Suppose it's raining in Delhi. दिल्ली में बारिश हो रही है, raining in Delhi. Suddenly I saw one thunderbolt. Okay, very huge thunderbolt. Okay. And after 1 minute, I heard the sound of cloudburst. Actually, that thunderbolt came after the collision. It was actually the result of the collision between clouds. But I saw the light first, and after 1 minute, basically I'm exaggerating. It is not that you after 1 minute you get, after 5 or 6 seconds, you heard the sound of that burst. So that clearly shows that yes, light travels faster than sound. Something you could experiment all by yourself. That is why it is scientific statement. It is proven right as well. Okay. Now let me ask you one more question. Nothing travels faster than light. Is this right or wrong? यहाँ पे दिक्कत हुई. No evidence. Wrong. No evidence. If I had asked you this question, nothing travels faster than light. If I had asked you this question 50 years back, you would have said yes, nothing travels faster than light. Today I am asking you the same question. Today you are getting confused. Maybe, no, wrong, yes. What does it show? You know, I told this statement to some religious priest, some guru. Okay. He told me, this statement is wrong. God is everywhere. God is everywhere. Now the question is how this statement, God is everywhere, refutes the hypothesis that nothing travels faster than light. If God is everywhere, that means God is traveling faster than light. How else would you explain his presence at two different places at same point of time? On the one hand, we say nothing travels faster than light. On the other hand, we say God is present everywhere. Are we not stupid? एक चीज ही को मानना पड़ेगा ना, but we accept both of them valid. And today, we do not even accept this statement valid. Why? Because quantum physics tells us subatomic particles travels faster than light. It tells us. But have they proven it? Not yet. So what does it mean? If NCERT would ask you this question, would you be able to write anything? It will be a chaotic situation. You would not be able to reach absolute answer. Okay. That is why they would not even ask you this question. They would not even ask you this question. Or even if they have written anything of such kind of statement in NCERT, after 4 or 5 years, NCERTs will be revised. New knowledge will be given to you. Old knowledge will be discarded. Okay. One more question. Light consists of particles. Those people who are not from science background, they do not need to get worried. You have chosen right option. Don't worry. Don't worry. Light consists of particles. Right or wrong? Yes. Acha. Light consists of particles. When you say that light consists of particles, that means your knowledge is outdated completely. This was told by Newton in his book Optics in 1704. This is old knowledge. You will not see this knowledge in NCRTs now. This knowledge was rejected. The new knowledge was light consists of waves. Light consists of waves. Who told this information to us? Thomas Young. And he proved it also through double slit experiment. Double slit experiment. Through double slit experiment, he could prove light consists of waves, not particles. Now tell me, light consists of waves or particles? Tell me. Both. Okay. Both. Nice. But I will tell you one more thing. Light neither consists of particles, nor waves, nor both. Light consists of photons. Now tell me, and this is the latest theory. This is the latest theory given by quantum physicians. Quantum physics theory. Okay. Light consists of photons. Now tell me, which of them is right? Waves, particles, both, photons, or all of the above? Or none of the above? The option. Okay, this is the problem. Can you tell me any answer? No. Today you will tell me now light consists of photons. Again, someone will cancel this thesis. A new knowledge will get developed. And then you will say light consists of something else, A, B, C, any particle. Basically, what I want to tell you is that science is not objective or absolute. It does not have monopoly over truth. Science claims that it has monopoly of truth. What kind of monopoly it has? After every 2 minutes, the answer given by scientists are changing. What kind of monopoly of truth? People who lived in the era of those people, their knowledge, their BTech got wasted completely. Basically, does it not show us that we are studying myth in the name of science? Is it not myth? Tell me. Am I wrong here? If I say that we have been studying myth in the name of science, am I wrong? If everything is proven wrong, is it not myth? Myth ही तो है. Yes. If it's not myth, tell me the absolute answer. There is no absolute answer. After every year, you are coming out with new truth. Tell me. I have mobile and water bottle in my hand. Okay. Now I am going to drop both of them together. Okay. Let me talk about pen for your convenience. I have mobile and pen in my hand. I will drop both of them together. Which of them will fall first? Which of them will fall first? अच्छा अच्छा, स्मार्ट हैं, स्मार्ट लोग हैं. Both. अच्छा. You know, one day one day Aristotle told me that if you have mobile phone and pen in your hand, it is obvious. It is obvious. Mobile phone will fall first. This is what Aristotle told me. And I accepted it as scientific truth. Aristotle at that point of time was a great scientist. I accepted it. After some point of time, heavier objects fall first. This is what Aristotle physics tells me. After some time, this guy was rejected by a scholar called as Galileo Galilei. He performed experiment on Tower of Pisa. Okay, he ascended Tower of Pisa, ऊपर चढ़ गया. अब इसमें भी ये भी बात पक्की नहीं कि ये कहानी सच है कि नहीं. Okay, but largely people say that he actually ascended Tower of Pisa and then he decided to drop the objects together to see. Now what was he doing? He was trying to perform experimentation. He is not simply listening to Aristotle. Okay, he is performing experiment. He performed experiment, ascended Tower of Pisa, dropped both of the objects together, and he found that both of them fall together, irrespective of their masses. Whichever is heavy or light, it does not matter, both of them would fall together. This is what Galileo Galilei told me. The reason for Aristotle to tell me that why heavier objects fall first is, Aristotle told me the reason. He said, heavier object has innate property, innate, internal properties, which will make that object fall before the lighter object. Galileo Galilei told me something else. He talked about acceleration. Galileo Galilei, both of them attain a specific constant acceleration. Okay. Constant acceleration. Both fall together. Acceleration. Newton came. Newton said it can be explained through the force of gravity. It can be explained through the force of gravity. Force of gravity is external to the masses, whether it is heavier object, lighter object. The force of gravity will exert a pull on these objects and they will fall together. Force of gravity. Right or wrong? Right or wrong? जल्दी जल्दी बोलो बस. Right, right, yes, right, right, Wrong. Why wrong? Because after Newton, Einstein came. He said gravity as a force do not exist. Do not exist. It is only the warping of space and time. Warping of space and time. Is Einstein correct? Just tell me yes or no. Is Einstein correct? Yes. Sohini, how come Einstein is correct? How come? Today you think he is correct, tomorrow he will again get rejected. Will you ever be in a position to say who is right, who is wrong? Finally, I decided to drop BTech. बहुत हो गया. In the sense I completed BTech. Okay, but completely lost belief in science. Completely. I felt I've been cheated. I've been cheated. This is what I felt. Okay, that we have read only wrong information, myth in the name of science is being taught to us. Now one last question. Okay, then we will come to the optional sociology. Okay, although whatever I'm telling you is a part of optional only, sociology as science. Okay, it is very important for us to develop this understanding. Only then I would be able to talk about people like Freud, Marx. You know, these people come later. First, Einstein, Newton, and all these people. Let me ask you one more question now. Okay. This is sun. Imagine universe like a space. This space, like a sheet of paper you have. You place sun on the sheet of paper. It creates a bend. Obviously, it creates a bend. When you place something on sheet of paper, it will create a bend. Okay, paper will be like from here, it will be like this. Now, when this bend is created, what will happen? This bend will create ripples. In the sense that all these objects will also feel that something of very big mass has just got a bend, and these objects will also feel the consequence of that bend. It is very natural. When you throw a stone on the lake, what happens? It creates ripples. It creates ripples. Similarly, let us assume I threw sun, or I placed sun. Okay, let us assume like this. I placed sun on the sheet of paper, it created ripples. And all these objects like planets or stars or asteroids felt the consequence of those ripples. Their position got displaced accordingly. That means gravitational wave is there. Some wave is there. Wave. It is not some downward motion, it is like a ripple. It is the ripple. It is not gravitational force which is exerting pull on each other and maintaining the balance of the universe as a system. It is actually a ripple or waves. Okay. This is what Einstein told us before he got died. The question that I want to ask today to you guys is, can you test this theory that these are waves, gravitational waves? No. No. If it cannot be tested, why do we celebrate Einstein? ऐसे ही. Of course, yes, it was tested. And Einstein got it correct. LIGO experiment in Europe. In 2017 or 18, I guess, maybe 16. I don't remember the year. I think it was 2016. LIGO experiment, very famous, popular, L-shaped tunnel was, or basically I would say a very heavy apparatus was created specifically to see or to verify what Einstein has said. And Einstein was right, they found it. Okay. Okay. Now, when you see sun creating a bend, if I turn on the torch, okay, here, if the whole space time fabric has got bent because of the mass and energy of the objects, obviously when I will throw light on the universe, light will also get bent. Light will also bend. Whether light really bends or not was also proven right. 1919 solar eclipse experiment. This is what Einstein did. And after that, LIGO experiment. What is the conclusion of the story? What is the conclusion of the story? Conclusion of the story is a theory is scientific only when it is testable. What is the second conclusion of the story? No scientific knowledge is absolute. Absolute. These are only provisional statements. These are only provisional, temporary statements. Okay, after your batch, next batch will come. In BTech, they will learn other theories. Whatever you learned was completely wrong. Syllabus changed. These are provisional statements. This is the moral of the story. And who told us the lesson? This lesson, Karl Popper. Karl Popper. Okay? Fine? Now let us try to start with Thomas Kuhn. Acha, before moving to Thomas Kuhn, let me ask you one more question. If I say, if I say the whole economic system, the whole economy will collapse one day and the societies will be ruled by workers, can you test this statement? One day society will collapse due to inherent contradictions in economy. Don't need to worry about this word, inherent contradictions. Due to some problem with economy, society will collapse one day. And these industrialist people like Ambani, Adani, they will be killed by the workers. Workers will now decide the policy of the states because they have been exploited enough. No more exploitation they will bear. The world belongs to the working class, and this will happen tomorrow. Can you test this statement? No. So, is Marxism scientific or pseudoscience? Tell me. Is Marxism scientific or pseudoscience? It is pseudoscience. Yes, very good, all of you. अब आप समझ गए हो. Pseudoscience. But if you tell this thing to Karl Marx that your theory is pseudoscientific, वो तुम्हें बिठाएगा अपने साथ. And he will, trust me, if you sit with him for 10 hours, you will start believing that his theory is scientific. But when you said his theory is scientific, when you said his theory is pseudoscience, you are looking at his theory from the lens of Karl Popper. Once you remove this lens and you put on the lens of Marxist scholars, you will start believing his theory is scientific. Now tell me, is there any objective reality in this world या फिर यही करते रहेंगे जिंदगी भर हम? Perspectives only. Perspectives. Let me talk about Thomas Kuhn. He is the biggest man amongst the scientists. Okay, the greatest of all the scientists, even bigger than Albert Einstein and Isaac Newton. Okay, why? And he is a sociologist as well, sociologist of science, a philosopher of science as well, or as historian of science. You know, Thomas Kuhn said science, first let us write down what did he say. Science is a social process. Science is a social process. Okay. ये statement आ सकता है. You can see this statement even in the exam in the coming years. Not a big deal. Okay. Science is a social process. How? I will explain. First, let us understand what are the things that he has said so far. Second, he says, any theory. Okay, I don't want to use any technical word like paradigm, dominant paradigm. I will use very simple word right now because I want you guys to understand these things first. Okay, any theory is valid only so far until it is superseded by another one. Any theory is valid only so far until it is superseded by another one. That means the validity of theory is provisional. Provisional. This is what he's saying. Okay. There is no absolute theory. After some point in time, this theory will get rejected by some other theory. And now people will start appreciating this theory which rejected the previous theory. And to them, this theory will be more scientific or the absolute truth. This will keep happening, keep happening, keep happening. Now, third statement. Third statement. A scientist, by which I mean both scientist, social scientist, natural scientist. He is philosopher of science, not a philosopher of natural science. Science as a body of knowledge. A scientist operates within a dominant paradigm. A scientist operates within a dominant paradigm. Now, what is the meaning of dominant paradigm? Until Einstein rejected Newton, the dominant paradigm was Newtonian physics. Understood? नहीं, कोई बात नहीं, फिर बताता हूं. What do you mean by dominant paradigm? Dominant paradigm simply means any set of theory or belief which is accepted as absolute true. That is dominant paradigm. Any set of theory which is accepted as absolutely true is dominant paradigm. Okay, any theory which is accepted as absolutely true and has rejected any other theory which existed before it is a dominant paradigm. You know, when Galileo rejected Aristotelian physics, before rejecting Aristotelian physics was the dominant paradigm. In those times, people used to read, yes, heavier objects will fall before the lighter object. After Aristotle, Galileo Galilei came. He developed the dominant paradigm. After Galileo Galilei, Newton came. The dominant paradigm of the world was all about gravitational force. Today, the dominant paradigm is Einstein. But this transition is not so smooth. It is not so smooth. You will always face chaos. Today, if you go out, I am going to tell you one very interesting thing. Today, if after this class, if you go out and tell someone, gravity as a force do not exist, he will laugh at you. He will laugh at you first of all. बोलेगा तुम जाओ पहले एनसीईआरटी पढ़ो. तुम्हारे बेसिक्स ही क्लियर नहीं, यूपीएससी करने आ गए हो. ठीक है. Now when he will laugh at you, you should laugh at him with a bigger degree, I would say. कि जाके पहले थॉमस कुन, कार्ल पॉपर पढ़ो. एनसीईआरटी छोड़ो अभी. तुम एनसीईआरटी तो रिवाइज होते रहेंगी. ठीक है, यही बता रहे कार्ल पॉपर, एनसीईआरटी रिवाइज होते रहेंगी. एनसीईआरटी में नहीं रखा कुछ. ठीक है. Scientist operates within a dominant paradigm. And this dominant paradigm is valid for a very limited period. It expires. It has also got expiry date. It expires when a new perspective develops which counters it. Now, agreed? Yes. Thomas Kuhn in his book. The book name is Structure of Scientific Revolutions. Okay, in the name of revolution, people start speaking of Karl Marx. Arey, Karl Marx chodo. This guy talks about scientific revolutions, upheavals, upheaval in the world of science. Belief ही change हो गया है पूरा, scientific belief ही change. एक पैराडाइम ही कोलैप्स हो गया है. न्यूटन मर गया, उसके साथ वो थ्योरी भी खत्म हो गई है. ग्रेविटी एज अ फोर्स ही खत्म. आइंस्टाइन आ गया है अब. रेवोल्यूशन है ये. दिस इज रेवोल्यूशन. You know, when for the first time geocentric theory was challenged by heliocentric model, this theory was given by geocentric theory was given by many people. Okay, Greek astronomers, astronomy, उस टाइम की astronomy देखो कैसी है. Okay, they are called as Greek astronomers. And who are these astronomers? Ptolemy, Aristotle. Okay, and church तो मान ही गया इन सब की बात. These were Greek astronomers. These were not astrologers. And we consider astronomy as scientific, right? These Greek astronomers said, geocentric model we have. This got rejected when Copernicus came. But until Copernicus came, was this not a dominant paradigm? Yes, it was. And in the language of Thomas Kuhn, this was for that period of time, this was normal science. The normal science. Like today, we accept Einstein theory as correct. So today, normal science is Einsteinian physics. Okay, but at that point of time, normal science was geocentric theory. One fine day, Copernicus did experiment, proved all of them wrong. And what is the natural reaction of someone? If you have developed a theory, spending 10 years, someone comes out of nowhere, tell you you are stupid, your theory is not valid, how will you react? मान जाओगे क्या आराम से? You will not accept someone criticizing your theory easily. And this is why Church declared Galileo Galilei, Copernicus, all these people as heretic. Okay. None of these people would have accepted it easily. And therefore, what is the structure of scientific revolution? First, we have normal science. Then, crisis develops. In the sense, people start criticizing that so-called normal science. And then after this crisis emerges revolutionary. Yes, agreed, understood. So far? Yes. Okay. And after some point, what will happen? This revolutionary science will become a new normal science. Again, it will be rejected, crisis will happen. Then a new revolutionary science will develop. Tomorrow, if you will read German philosophers like Friedrich Hegel, Hegel says the world is nothing but product of dialectics between ideas. One idea is there, tomorrow another idea will come, this idea will go away, this new idea will be the dominant one. Next year, one new idea will come, this idea will get replaced. This is how the world progresses. And we come to know what is true or what is not. This is known as law of dialectics. But I want to tell you that you will start finding similarities when you read those things. Okay, आगे जाकर. Anyhow. Finally, last critique. Okay. Feminist critique. If you remember that first example that I talked about, light consists of particles, then waves, then photons. Is this not normal science? Then crisis comes, and then revolution, and then normal science gets established. Nothing. You will see a pattern in all the examples that I have given, in all the theoreticians that I have talked about. You will start finding after 100 or 200 revisions, you will say all of them are similar. Okay. Anyhow. Acha. One more thing. Acha, first of all these things that I'm talking about is going to help you in your essay. Other than sociology, it is going to help you in your essay, because after 1 or 2 years, you would see essay coming on science versus religion. You know, you also have a option in the sense you have to compulsorily write one essay on philosophical subject or philosophical topic, and you often would come across such topics in that philosophy section of essay. Okay, so if you have good knowledge about the history of philosophy or the philosophy of science or the history of science, you would have a very great command on that topic because you know the whole background. Okay, so don't take it only as a part of sociology. It will also help you in your essay paper. Okay. One more thing before I talk about feminist critique. Okay. One more thing. The question is very simple that I'm going to ask you. Who decides what is the dominant paradigm of today? Who decides? Who decides? Einstein is right or Newton is right? You decide or I decide? People decide. Acha. Who decide? We read from NCRT. Einstein ने ये बोल दिया, Newton was wrong, Einstein is right. But who has decided this, that Einstein is right? I'm talking about some body. Ruling class. Oh, अरे तो इतना मार्क्सिज्म मत पढ़ो. Scientific community. Scientific community. They decide. Now the question is, what is scientific community? What is scientific community? Have you heard about this institution? IEEE or NASA or ISRO or DRDO. These are the scientific people, so-called scientific community, which is deciding whether Newton is right or Einstein is right. And only after that, NCRTs will be given a letter. They will be sent a letter. NCRT as a headquarter will be sent a letter. Include this chapter in the class 8th from next year onwards. Syllabus has been revised. These are the people sending emails to NCRT. NCRT simply believing it. Okay. And then the thing is now being introduced in the textbook of the class 8th or 9th students. And do you know how do they decide? How do they decide whether Einstein is right or Newton is right? They sit together in a closed chamber, AC full on, 16-degree. They'll have lot many cup of chai, pakoras, okay, samosas. What do you think? Einstein साइंटिफिक है? लग तो रहा है. चाय लीजिए, आप चाय लो, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है, तेज जल्दी नहीं. After consuming 100 cups of chais and pakoras, 3 or 4 plates, finally they decide, let us go ahead with Einstein scientific. लग रहा है. People start reading the same thing in NCRT. Next day onwards, today Einstein has become the father of science or the father of physics, or the Einsteinian physics is the most dominant one. Okay. And after 20 years, people will, when I will ask this question, does gravity exist? They will say, no, gravity as a force do not exist. It is warping of space. We have read this in NCRT. And then I will say, idiots, new scientist has come. And he has rejected warping of space also. Basically, unless scientific community decides and agree upon comma, the theory is not considered scientific. Unless scientific community decide and agree upon their decision, the theory is not considered scientific. Now tell me, is science not a social process? है ना? And not just because they are sitting on the fate of science, whether Newton is right, or also because science is very temporal and spatial. It is limited. It was valid 100 years back. Today it is not. Some other people have come. Completely. It just like our human body evolves, we become mature or we grow. Science is also like a human body. It is also growing. Every day, scientists also refute the thesis that they had reposed faith on for so many years, and then they come forward with a new, which all of them agree upon, and then becomes a part of your syllabus. And we are taught science is highly objective, absolute truth. There is no absolute truth. All the knowledge is provisional. Okay. Anyhow, let me talk about feminist critique now. Feminist critique to scientific method. This is the last critique. Donna Haraway, Sandra Harding, Fox Keller. All these are those feminist scholars who have critiqued scientific method. Now, you will get to know how feminists critique scientific method. Okay. Feminist scholars say scientific method or the science is sexist, patriarchal. Now you will say, "Hey, ये कहाँ से आ गया?" मतलब कुछ भी. This is what you will be thinking. "Hey, कुछ भी?" No, it is not कुछ भी. I told you. Every day you will get to know something which you thought was right, but then you will get to know, no, this was wrong. Science or scientific method is sexist and patriarchal. It reaffirms or reproduces sexism in society. It reaffirms or reproduces sexism in society. How? When these scholars are criticizing science and scientific method, they have two disciplines in their mind, especially two disciplines. One is biology, and second is psychology. These two disciplines call themselves scientific. Okay, so that is why they are trying to criticize scientific method or science, specifically biology and psychology. How do they criticize it? Have you guys ever read this thing? Have you read anything like this? In biology? Active sperm. It is still there. You will read it. What do you mean by active sperm? As if the person who carries sperm is active. In the sense, why do we call sperm as active? There is no, see, when you call egg as passive, you are trying to display egg as if it is sitting there waiting for the sperm to hit. Okay, as if you are trying to project a docile woman. Basically, it is the sexist belief. It is the sexist belief amongst the scientists which make them write such kind of terms to denote sperms and eggs. They are calling sperm as active, egg as passive. This is nothing but reproduction of the sexist and the patriarchal mindset that scientists have. This is just one example. Now, let me talk about now, some people may say, because sperm has to travel, okay, so it is the active one. That theory has also been rejected last year only. Check. Sound does not travel. Okay. Second, let me talk about Darwin. Evolution. Darwin has written one book, very famous book. The name of book is The Descent of Man. The Descent of Man. Darwin obviously is regarded as very important scholar. If Darwin was not there, there would not have been subject like biology. Okay. Darwin says the evolution of society is in such a manner. Man naturally evolves superior to women in the course of evolution. Man naturally evolves superior to women in the course of evolution. This is how the societies evolve naturally. See, everything is talking about naturally. Naturally हो रहा है, natural. अरे naturally कैसे हो रहा है भाई? Naturally कैसे? You know, after reading it for so many times, naturally, natural selection, natural, you will automatically start reproducing the same knowledge. Now, natural, it is natural. Common sense, common sense. It will become part of your common sense, and then you will reproduce the same knowledge. You will discuss with your friends. You will say, obviously, have you not read Darwin? Man is superior. It is natural. Fox Keller, Donna Haraway, they are saying nothing is natural. Darwin once said, if I were to make two lists of men and women in the field of artistry, poetry, and drama and theatrics, the list would bear no comparison, and man would evolve superior to the women. In all the fields, whether you talk about sport, literary, dance, music, you will see man dominating over women. This is what Darwin believed, and he said this. One day, a very famous lady, Antoine Blackwell, the first ever feminist critique to Darwin officially, she wrote one letter to Darwin, okay, about his nonsensical theories. Darwin received the letter. The letter read something like this, Antoine Blackwell. Okay, this was the name of that lady. Antoine Blackwell. When Darwin read this letter, and she was the one who sent one letter to Darwin telling him, you are nonsense and your theories are also nonsense, highly patriarchal. Okay. When Darwin read this letter, do you know how did he reply to this lady? This is official exchange between these two people happening. Okay. Darwin replied, dear Mr. Antoine, Mr. Antoine, what does it show? Of course, it implies, of course, a woman could not have sent me this letter. A woman could not have criticized my scientific theories. It would be man only. It is that so-called natural. That so-called natural that he's been talking about. This is what that so-called natural was. And this is what Antoine revealed. In the next letter, you called me Mr. You would be surprised to know, Mr. that naturally I am not Mr. I am Mrs. So your natural thesis is rejected. You are highly patriarchal man. in psychology. In psychology, there is one very popular man, Sigmund Freud. Sigmund Freud has given one theory, Oedipus complex. Oedipus complex. What is the meaning of this theory? He says, when a male child is born, जब एक छोटा बच्चा लड़का पैदा होता है, when a male child is born, he starts feeling sexual attraction towards his mother. When male child is born, he feels sexual attraction towards his mother. This is the meaning of Oedipus complex. Simple. Okay. Now, before I tell you what happened after this, I would like to ask you one question. Is this statement or is this theory, Oedipus complex, scientific? You know Karl Popper. Just tell me accordingly. Is this scientific? Can this be tested that you, as a male child, when you were 2-year old, felt sexual attraction towards your mother? Can you ever test this thing? No. So that is why to Mr. Karl Popper, Freud and Marx both were the biggest enemies of science. And both of them called their theory scientific. Marx called his theory a scientific theory of socialism, scientific socialism. Freud theory is generally regarded as psychoanalytic, scientific psychoanalysis. Popper rejected both of them. Popper had too much of problem with these two people, Marx and Freud. Anyhow, so you guys now know why he is not scientific. Okay. Now let me come back to what I was going to tell you. When male child is born, he feels sexual attraction towards his mother. This is what Sigmund Freud says. Now, feminist scholars come in. Feminist scholars read this line, Oedipus complex, male child feeling sexual attraction towards mother. And what is father doing, by the way? When this male child is feeling sexually attracted towards mother, where is the father? What is he doing? Freud says father is killed by the male child, or father is avenged, or father is hated by the male child. And feminists then say कि अभी मार खाओगे या फिर अभी तुम चुपचाप सुन लोगे जो मैं कहने जा रही हूँ, क्योंकि ये नॉनसेंस बातें हैं. Basically, when you listen to this story that male child is feeling sexually attracted towards mother, in the story mother is absent and mother is simply projected as someone who is waiting for the male child to feel sexually attracted, as if mother is not going to scold him. Nonsense, what are you doing? Mother is not going to socialize him, mother is not going to train him. And mother is sitting idle. Okay, you can feel sexual attraction towards me, no issue. And mother or women are projected as objects, as if they do not have their own voice. Male child are feeling sexually attracted towards mother. And when you will read Freud, you will always read anatomical relation between male child and father. And why this fight between male child and father over mother? As if mother is an object which can be claimed by either of them. Who will have a claim on mother? Father or male child? This normalizes the belief in society that women is something that we have to catch or we have to fight for. This is what feminist critique to scientific method is. And then there was another psychologist, Carl Jung. Okay, Carl Jung. He has given one theory, Electra complex. Electra complex. What is the meaning of Electra complex? Just the opposite of Oedipus complex. Oedipus complex means male child feeling sexual attraction towards mother. Electra complex means female child feeling sexual attraction towards father. So Carl Jung also criticized Freud, reversed the whole theory, which could be equally valid. If Freud's theory is valid, this could also be valid. Okay? Okay. Today, if you look in IITs, Indian Institute of Technology, DRDO, ISRO, NASA, how many women would you find in these institutions? When I was in school, all the teachers were women. Moment I joined college, मेरा दिमाग ही हिल गया. I started looking for teachers. Where are teachers? Somebody told me he is the teacher. I said he is a teacher, but teacher is a female, na. But this was my, I'm not saying कि ये मैंने बोला literally, ऐसा बोला नहीं, कहानी बना रहा हूँ, ऐसे कुछ भी बोलना पड़ता है कभी कभी, ठीक है. तो basically, I was socialized into believing that female teachers we have in society, because this is what I saw for 12 years. Suddenly when I entered college, गायब, especially IITs में. Now when I went to DU, female ही female teachers हैं. मेरा दिमाग खराब हो जाता है फिर, चल क्या रहा है ये. Okay. So if science, as I told you yesterday, there is universalism norm in science. Okay, irrespective of your social location, whether you are girl, boy, black, white, American, Indian, does not matter. All of us are equal, our contributions would be regarded equally. But when I see in real world, I do not see women scientists or women being highly active in the field of sciences. Why do I see this? I somehow feel that science does discriminate. Science does discriminate. Okay. And this is also a feminist critique to scientific method or to science largely. Okay. So, one more last critique to scientific method by feminist. What is the last critique? You must have seen scientific method talking a lot about objectivity. Lot about objectivity, empiricism, okay, experimentation, rationality, whatever. These words are very much associated with scientific method, that these values are enshrined in the scientific method. Okay. Your personality test that UPSC will take after you clear your mains, it is generally regarded as scientific method. It is also, they are evaluating your personality based on scientific method. This is what they believe have been yielding result, and this is the best method to evaluate someone's personality. Feminists will say the method is highly patriarchal, which UPSC people are employing is highly patriarchal method. Why? I'll tell you why. When you give too much of importance to rationality, objectivity, empiricism. You would lack empathy, human values, which are natural. Okay. You lack emotions. You are highly objective. You lack emotions. And when you lack emotions, when you lack empathy, and then you are also asking us to read ethics to develop empathy, are you not idiots? And then you do not expect us to manifest empathy or be expressive. You want us to be like serious. ज्यादा स्माइल नहीं करना है, कम ये दांत अंदर. Sorry, sir. Now tell me. You will see that, when you would go to interview, you would literally feel what generally in the power relation of men and women feel. This is exactly the feeling that you are going to get when you face interview. Okay. So basically, scientific method lacks human values. Human values. And it is a detached observation that you are going to have. Detached observation. The person who is interested in knowing the other person is highly detached from that person because he wants to maintain objectivity, so called, and detached observation is not observation. Okay, this is what the feminist critique. So this was all about this unit part A. Now rest of the parts 5 minutes each. Okay. What is there in your syllabus next? Can somebody tell me? Sir, please explain social process. Pratibha Chandan, I told na. Social process I have explained already. See, if something is going to be declared scientific only after the acceptance of the scientific community, which is completely their discretion, what scientific community consists of multiple kind of people. If it consists of female scientists, they would accept to some other theory. Okay, if they are male, they may accept to some other theory. The way we think automatically influences the kind of theory that is going to be declared as universally valid. So it is a social process. Okay, what is scientific and what is not scientific is not decided by us. It is decided by the scientific board, administrative body, scientific community, ISRO, NASA, IEEE. हाँ बिल्कुल ठीक है. Now the next is major theoretical strands. Okay. Now, see, I knew that next is major theoretical strands of research methodology. Still, I wanted to ask you so that you would remember this forever. Unit 2B is major theoretical strands of research methodology. Okay, now some may say ये cover up कर रहे हैं जानबूझ के, ऐसा कुछ नहीं, यार भूल गए थे ये major theoretical, but all these are perspectives only. Anyhow, let me talk about major theoretical strands of research methodology. What are these major theoretical strands? Okay. फटाफट से नाम बोल देता हूं मैं. The name of unit subunit is major theoretical strands of research methodology. Research methodology क्या होता है बताता हूं. But what are the major theoretical perspectives? These are the major theoretical perspectives of research methodology. I just need 5 minute break. थोड़ा स्वेटिंग ज्यादा हो रहा है. एग्जैक्ट 5 मिनट. पानी वानी पियो तुम लोग भी यार थोड़ा. चलेगा. Okay. Now, let's continue. Someone just texted me, yoga is science or not? Sir, ये आपने बताया नहीं. If I have to answer this question, I have no choice but to take help of Karl Popper. And yoga, to be very honest, is not only about exercise that we do. Yoga has multiple philosophies. There is a ministry of Ayush ministry we have. Ayurvedic yoga, Unani, pata nahi kya kya. The fact is, when you talk about yoga, if you remember in the last lockdown, all of us banged thalis. Okay, thalis bajai humne, thalis. Okay. And we also lit up candle, diyas. Why did we do that? Because Modi told us, our Prime Minister told us, it will generate yogic collective consciousness and it will help us move beyond this phase of anomie. He did not use this word anomie, by the way. Okay. But it will help us move beyond over this phase if we develop collective consciousness, if we develop faith in ourselves. This was nothing but yogic practice of collective consciousness. Okay, although when I will teach you Durkheim, he has also talked about this collective consciousness thing. Okay, when you go to temple, you will realize once you come out of temple, you feel relaxed, peaceful. Why? Something was there in that building called temple, or something was there in the crowd that made you feel it is temple. It was the collective consciousness of that gathering, closing your eyes, which actually made you feel relaxed, and then you came out. There was one article on Hindu. I will share that article with you. That article clearly talks about the idea of Karl Popper and how we failed as scientific age. Because in the scientific age, we believe that these are the practices which can help us move over this chaotic phase. This was pseudoscience. Yoga is a pseudoscience. And even if you talk about exercise, can you ever prove that you got healed only because of this exercise and there was no other external factor? You would not be able to prove it. Yoga is not science to Mr. Karl Popper. Okay? And this is why scientific body, Indian Medical Association is also saying the same. It is pseudoscience. Now let me come to this approach, theoretical strands. One by one, all your doubts will now today get cleared about positivism, structural functionalism, Marxism, all these things. Remember, this part is also another topic in your syllabus called as 2E. Okay? However, it would be dealt briefly here as well, since we have to deal with theoretical strands of research methodology, and this is also a strand. Let me one by one talk about these theoretical strands. First, let us start with macro or structural approach. Okay? What do we understand by structural approach or macro approach? If I say family is one unit that helps the society to maintain itself, okay, it socializes the young, it perpetuates the norms and values required to be socialized, required for someone to be socialized. If I speak in such language, okay, then I'm a structural functionalist basically. Okay. If I say religion is one unit in society that helps us or that helps the society all over to get over the crisis situation. If you remember, in these 2 years, all of us have become religious, like anything. Okay, when lockdown was imposed for the first time, all those serials, Ramayan, Mahabharat, those serials were aired on TV. देखो देखो इसको देखो, याद करो वो टाइम, जाने वाले हम सब, क्योंकि आखिरी बार देख लो. Okay. All the WhatsApp people who were sharing forward statuses and messages, all of them were about gods and all those things. And people started becoming religious out of nowhere in these 2 years. Anyhow, what I want to say is, when you talk about macro structural approach, you always talk about function of each and every unit in the maintenance of society. So write down one point. If you have enough space in the diagram that you have made, you can write those points here also, or you may write those points after this diagram by making a separate heading called as macro approach. Completely up to you. In macro approach or structural approach, you will write one line. Structural approach is an approach which regards which regards structure as superior, which regards structure as superior to individuals. Which regards structure as superior to individuals. Okay, I said, what is the function of family? Family, what is the function of family? Family helps maintain the system. What is the function of marriage? Marriage helps in the continuity of societies. What is the function of religion? It perpetuates norms and values which are required for the maintenance of society. Otherwise, you will have crime everywhere, you will have deviance everywhere. What is the function of law? Law helps prevent crime and maintains normal system in the society. Arey, where are the individuals? Society boli ja rahe ho tab se. Where are the individuals? What are individuals doing of these things? Law, marriage, family. How they look at these institutions. Structural approach do not talk about it. That is why structural approach regards structure as superior to individual. And it also projects, next line, and it also projects individual. And it also projects individual as passive robots. Projects individual as passive robots. Okay? Because we are not given any agency according to this approach. All the structures in the all the structures in the society govern the society. Individuals ka role hi nahi hai. For example, if you remember, I asked you one day, what is the function of marriage? Okay, and then you said marriage ka function hai ye society ki maintenance, continuity, wo sab. Okay, then I talked about that example. If someone is marrying to get passport, American passport, okay, do you know that in the ancient Indian empires, the practice of marriage was only to make alliances with the emperors. It was not to continue the society. How emperors were looking at the institution of marriage to make alliance. How we look at institution of marriage, suppose you become IAS officer. One MP or MLA will meet you one fine day. And then his daughter or his son, he will get him or her married to you. Why? How did he look at marriage institution as? A chance for my son or daughter to improve his standard of life, or for a chance for my next generation to improve his standard of life. That is why they got their daughter or sons married to you now, because you have become IAS officer. It is also a chance to forge alliance with the bureaucrats. If MP MLAs start getting their sons or daughters married to bureaucrats, an alliance will get forged. You as an IAS officer will not reject, because you will think this is one chance to get into politics. So you will easily marry his or her daughter or son. You will say, ha 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 ha, ha. No issue. No, no, I really like your daughter. Really, I really like your son. Okay. It is a chance for you to enter into politics. How we look at institution of marriage is something these people are not talking about. They are only talking about the function of marriage to the system, function of religion to the system, function of this. No, 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 no. ये चल रहा है इनका. Okay. Third line. Third line. This approach fails. This approach fails to look at how individuals, this approach fails to look at how individuals attach meaning to these institutions. Okay? Clear? Now, what are these beautiful approaches? The most dominant, the structural approach is positivism, positivist methodology, or positivism. Positivist methodology or positivism. Okay. Now write down few lines about positivism. It is a structural approach. This is something now you know. And what is structural approach? You know 3 points about it. Okay. And positivism, you know, is a structural approach. So obviously positivism would have those 3 points or not. Those 3 points would be valid for positivism also. But what other thing is special about positivism? Okay. Or what positivist methodology is all about? Write down one line. Positivism assumes society is governed by laws. Society is governed by laws. And why do they assume it? Because they were influenced by Enlightenment philosophers. Okay. Auguste Comte, however, he was very critical of the Enlightenment scholars. But still, one thing that he was very much inspired of was that, yes, they were talking about reasoning. And then there onward, he started talking about some laws which are operating the social world also. Okay. So one thing that you have written is that society is governed by laws. Second point in positivism. These laws govern. These laws govern how individuals think in each era. How individuals, groups, or societies think in each era. Okay. Third point. Law of three stages. Law of three stages, I told you. Okay, in each era, individuals, societies, or groups think accordingly, according to the laws. Theological stage, religious beliefs we would have. Metaphysical stage, abstract beliefs we would have. Positive stage, scientific beliefs we would have. Okay. Next point, fourth point. They also regard they also regard each unit contributing to the functioning of system. They also regard each unit contributing to the functioning of system. Hmm? Okay. Okay. So this was all about positivism. Now let us come to the next topic, structural functionalism. Structural functionalism में we will write 3 points. First point, structural functionalism being positivist theory, structural functionalism, comma, being a positivist theory, being a positivist theory, also believes society is governed by laws. Simple है. Also believes society is governed by laws. Now you will ask me which laws? If you remember, I told you structural functionalists are those people who were influenced by writings of Spencer. Spencer is generally regarded as the father of structural functionalism, by the way. Okay, and if you remember organic analogy, something that I taught to you when I talked about structural functionalism for the first time, I told human bodies and society are very much similar. Just like human body evolves, society also evolves in a similar fashion. So what is the law operating here? The law of evolution. And structural functionalists would believe society is governed by law of evolution, which means or which implies each structure of society also evolves. If one day you heard about family as a system disintegrating from joint to nuclear, what is this? Evolution. Evolution. Today you hear development of cult organization or disintegration of church. In those times, that church got disintegrated, and today we have fragments of religions, cult, Sadguru, Baba ban gaye, spiritual. You will read books also how to elevate your mind, the power of mind, or something like this. You can become your own religion, or you can become your own guru if you read this book. You will see religion fragmented. You would not see religion today in church only. Okay, you would see on TV at 5 a.m. you will find religion. Okay, at 5 a.m. रात को 10 बजे you will see ब्रह्म कुमारीज, कहीं और. शाम को आपको दिखेंगे रामदेव, पतंजलि का ब्रांड. ओके, I mean you will see fragmented form of religion. It is also form. ये थोड़ा complicated था, हालांकि मैं आगे जाके बताऊंगा. घबराना नहीं, टेंशन नहीं लेनी. Do not need to get worried. Okay, I would just give you glimpses of what lies out there before you. Okay, anyhow, law of evolution. Third point in structural functionalism. This theory largely believes that each social institution or structure, each social institution or structure contribute to the maintenance of system. Contribute to the maintenance of system. Which also implies, which also implies that each institution play positive function only. Which also imply each institution play positive function only. And what is the positive function? Maintenance of system. Maintenance of society is supreme. That is a positive function that is being played. Okay. Don't think about Robert Merton. In case someone is there who has read sociology, do not talk about Robert Merton right now. I'm talking about structural functional, the dominant paradigm that was there at one point of time. Merton is exceptional. Okay. वीडियो स्टक हो गया क्या? Is video stuck? No, सही है, वीडियो सही है. Okay, now next, Marxism. Marxism. Is Marxism positivist philosophy? Just tell me answer with your existing knowledge. With existing knowledge, you can see under positivism I have written Marxism. So yes, it is a positivist philosophy. Okay, today you will get more clarity as to why it is a positivist philosophy. Okay, some people also say it is partially positivist, partially it is not. ये partial कुछ नहीं होता है. हाँ या ना, ये both नहीं चलेगा. Okay. Okay, we don't we would not want to become like those sociologists. Okay, there are many journals on this philosophy also, whether Marxism is positivism or not. Many journals. Let us not go into debates. As is never ending, we would never talk about anything. Okay, Marxism is also a positivist philosophy. Write down. Marxism is also a positivist philosophy, and being a positivist philosophy, it also believes that society is governed by laws. And being a positivist philosophy, it also believes that society is governed by laws. Right? Second point. However, unlike structural functionalist, unlike structural functionalist, Marxism believes, unlike structural functionalist, Marxism believes that institution functions not for the maintenance of society. Institution functions not for the maintenance of society. That institution functions not for the maintenance of society, but to secure the interest of capitalist class. Institution functions not for the maintenance of society, but to secure the interest of capitalist class. By the way, I told you, just like positive philosophy, since it is a positivist philosophy, so it also believes society is governed by laws. In structural functionalism, I talked about laws like law of evolution. What is the law, according to Marx, that governs society? Can someone tell me? Of course, I should not be expecting you guys to answer it right now, but in case if any one of you have ever read about it, can someone tell me what were the laws according to Marx which govern the society? Atika, very nice. Atika, तुमने तो बोलना ही था. ठीक है. Yes, it is the law of dialectics. Law of dialectics. Don't talk about dialectical materialism. Okay, I'll tell you why. आगे जाके वो dialectical materialism is also right, but since I wanted you guys to speak law, I wanted you guys to use this word law. Although there is one scholar, Friedrich Engels, not Hegel, Engels, who have postulated these law of dialectics, but Marx applied these laws. Okay, ये सब आ गई, सब भूल जाओ जो मैंने कहा, सब भूल जाओ, कोई घबराना नहीं, बिल्कुल नहीं टेंशन लेनी है, ठीक है? लॉ ऑफ डायलेक्टिक. Okay, so Marxism is also over. A brief description of all these. Now these things will help you. See this chart will help you for the next 4 months. It will help you every day. Okay, it will ease your pains. You will be easily able to locate what exactly is where. Okay. Let us now come to micro approach. Micro approach. Unlike macro approach, first point, unlike macro approach, unlike macro approach, this approach emphasizes the role of individuals. This approach emphasizes on the role of individuals. Emphasizes on the role of individuals. Okay. So, like the examples I talked about, why would you marry son or daughter of MP? It is micro approach. I'm talking about you guys. Not talking about institution governing the societies or institution maintaining or contributing something to the society as a whole. No, nonsense nahi. Kaam ki baat, mudde ki baat. This is what micro approach is all about. Okay. However, that does not mean that they reject structures altogether. However, that does not mean that they reject structures altogether, or this approach rejects structure altogether. Full stop. It is just that they place more importance on the role of individuals. It is just that they place more importance on the role of individuals. Okay. Therefore, individuals are portrayed not as passive robots, but as active players. Therefore, individuals are portrayed not as passive robots but as active players. Okay, this was about micro approach. Now, what are the theoretical perspectives that we deal with in micro approach or in action approach? That is called as non-positivism. Non-positivist methodologies. Remember this word, non-positivist methodologies. Okay. Write down few lines, 3 lines only, under non-positivist methodologies. If you remember positivism, what was the first line? Can somebody write? Because मेरे को याद नहीं रहता है. Can somebody tell me what was the first line that I asked you to write here in positivism? ऐसी कीवर्ड बता दो. Society is governed by laws. Yes. Now, what will we write here? It is non-positivism. So they believe society is not governed by laws. Society is not governed by laws. Rather, we have individual actively shaping his life. Rather, we have individuals in society actively shaping their lives. Actively shaping their lives. Okay, individuals are not governed by laws, or society is not governed by laws. We have our own mindset. We are not simply objects that are governed by law of physics. Okay, it is not that if someone would ऐसे drop you, then you would fall down only. उल्टा you तुम हटोगे और उसको थप्पड़ मारोगे. अबे कैसे गिरा रहे हो मेरे को? ठीक है. Second point in non-positivist methodology. Max Weber. Write down his name. Max Weber. Max Weber gave theory of social action. Max Weber gave theory of social action. And he believed that it is the meaning and motive of the individual actors. And he believed that it is the meaning and motive of the individual actors that should be studied by the sociologists. And he believed that it is the meaning and motive of the individual actors which should be studied by sociologists. See, one thing is very much clear. If every actor has his own individual meaning and motive behind any action that he or she is involved in, that simply tells us that individuals are not governed by laws. They have their own active mindset. And everything, behind everything that they are doing, there is certain specific meaning and motive attached to it, which only they know, nobody else. They are not governed by laws. They are not passive robots. Understood yahan tak? Should be studied by sociologists. Okay. And therefore मैंने क्या लिखा है? Social action theory. Given by who? Weber. Okay. Write down here one line. Then I'll talk about here this thing. Write down one line here. Social action theory. The theory was given by Weber, of course, which you have already written. Okay, but still you should write again. The theory was given by Weber. बार बार लिखोगे अपने आप घुस जाएगा दिमाग में. The theory was given by Weber. The theory was given by Weber. So as to study the meanings and motives. So as to study the meanings and motives of the individual actors. So as to study the meanings and motives of individual actors. However, so as to study the meanings and motives of individual actors. However, full stop के बाद, however, comma, Weber believed that sociology should study not only the cause of social action but also the consequences of it. Not only the cause of social action but also the consequences of it. अब यहां थोड़ा फंसोगे तुम लोग, यहां फंसोगे. Not only the cause of social action but also the consequences of social action. And the line when I said consequences of social action, underline that line, consequences of social action, and from that line draw one arrow, structures, because the consequence of social action is structure only. I'll tell you all these things later on. Okay, consequence of social action is structure only. And what is the cause of social action? Underline cause of social action and वहां से एक arrow निकालो. Draw one arrow by underlining cause of social action also. Draw one arrow. The arrow signifies individual meanings and motives. So overall, you will have this kind of diagram. Something similar to this. This is individual having some meanings and motives. दिमाग में ये इसके हमें पता नहीं चल रहा क्या सोच रहा है ये. Meanings and motives. Okay, there are many such individuals having meanings and motives. Okay, all these individuals having meanings and motives, let us consider them 8 billion or 1 billion. Okay, whatever they do, the cause of their social action is meaning and motive. Okay, this is the cause, and the consequence is structure. I'll explain. मैं अभी एग्जांपल देता हूं. Consequence is the structure. I'll give you one example. Cause of social action is meaning, motive. Consequence of social action is structures. Okay. Now, let me give you one example here. You know, how come India became nation state? At one point of time, India was a British India. This is how we were called as British Indian Empire. Okay, we were not individual nation state, the identity that we have today. Okay. This nation state was built up. Nation state is a structure. It is a structure, right? It is not individual action. Nation state is a structure, right? Modern structure. It was built up by the social action of the individuals which were involved in the nationalist movements. Those individuals were involved in nationalist movement, and it was their involvement, the meaning and motive behind this nationalist movement, which led in the formation of nation state as a structure, modern structure. Understood? See, so far, what have you read in social action theory? You have read about one individual action. Okay, one individual marrying IAS officer, one individual, marrying someone to get American passport or to, get home loan easier. That is why he's marrying, or to have a bigger status. But now I'm talking about social action of millions of people. I'm not talking about social action of one, social action of millions. And when millions get mobilized, structural changes can happen. From British Empire, we can enter into Indian state, sovereign Indian state. This is one example. Understood or not? Okay, I'm not going deeper into it because जब मैं deep जाऊंगा तब होएगा chaos. अभी deep नहीं, अभी सिर्फ हमें surface में समझना है. ओके सिर्फ क्योंकि आगे जाके हमने यूनिट 4 पढ़ना है जो थिंकर्स के ऊपर ही है. ओके नाउ बस यहां तक मेरे साथ साथ चलते ही रहो तुम लोग. तुम्हारी लाइफ विल बी वेरी कंफर्टेबल. ओके ethnomethodology, symbolic interactionism. But before that, we have to deal with phenomenology, which got developed after social action approach. Remember this forever in your life. Phenomenology got developed later on. First came Max Weber. Now the question is, what is phenomenology? ये कहां से आ गए? First, remember, phenomenology was developed by a scholar, Alfred Schutz. Okay, I don't want to take big names. See, phenomenology is mainly philosophical school. It was actually developed by Edmund Husserl. However, this school, as I told you, was developed by Edmund Husserl in philosophy, but in sociology, this school was introduced by Alfred Schutz, who was the student of Edmund Husserl only. Alfred Schutz introduced phenomenology in sociology. Otherwise, phenomenology was there in philosophy only. Phenomenology. Alfred Schutz. Now, what is the meaning of phenomenology? Suppose I give red rose to a girl. Suppose I give a red rose to a girl. What does it mean? It means that I am proposing her. यही हुआ ना, हम तो यही समझते हैं भाई. भाई यही हमने यही दुनिया देखी, ऐसे ही हम समझते हैं. बॉलीवुड में यही दिखाया जाता है, हॉलीवुड में यही दिखाया जाता है. It means I am proposing her. Now the fact is, the question which is very important to us to understand these things is that when did and how did we come to know this, and why did we come to believe this, that red means love or red is equal to proposal? How did we come to know this and why did we agree to this? We take this thing for granted, right? It is common sense. It is part of our common sense. But sociology, as you know, challenges something that is taken for granted. Phenomenology is an epistemological school. Epistemological school. Write down one line, मैं बता ही देता हूँ तुम्हें. एक एक करके लिखो. Phenomenology is an epistemological school. वैसे सारी ही epistemologies हैं, मार्क्सिज्म भी epistemology है, but still इसके लिए अलग से लिखते हैं. Is an epistemological school according to which there is no objective reality in the social world. According to which there is no objective reality in the social world. Okay. Now let me ask you one question. Have you ever realized when you want to go to any vegetable shop, okay, suppose you came out of your home, you came across this street vegetable mandi, okay, and then you asked that person, how much is this tomato for? Kaise diye? He would tell you 20 rupees kg, something like that. I don't know the price of tomato, by the way. Okay, so I'm just giving you random figure. 20 rupees per kg. 20 rupees per kg, बहुत, it's very costly. ठीक ठीक लगाओ यार, तुम क्या कर रहे हो? 15 रुपए. अरे नहीं, 15 नहीं होएगा. 3 किलो दे दो 10 रुपए में. कर करके ले आए. 20 rupees per kg, and now you have 3 kg for 10 rupees. Okay. Now, next day you go to mall, shopping mall. Okay. You see Reliance ka store, Mega Mart. Okay. Or some other store. There you will see vegetables 20 rupees per kg. Or it may even be 25 rupees per kg. Not even for a single second you will be bargaining. You will simply hand over the cash or swipe your credit card even for 25 rupees. Okay. नाटक करेंगे सारे. Now what the question that I'm going to ask you is that we haggled, we bargained in the street market, but we did not bargain in the shopping mall. Is there any objective, rational law that can explain this behavior? The man is utilitarian, homo economicus. Why this stupid man is not bargaining there in mall? So what is the problem? These are only norms. These are only norms. See, when someone elder comes to your house, you would pay respect to him. अरे बाबूजी कैसे हो? हाँ ठीक, बैठ जाओ, ठीक. छोटा कोई आएगा थप्पड़ मार गया, चल हट निकल. Why we give respect to someone who is elder and why we don't respect to someone who is young to us? Norms. There is no objective reasoning behind these things. These are our norms. We have constructed these norms. Okay. Why I gave red rose to a girl? Instead of red rose, let me give some other rose. Let me say, let me give white rose to that girl, or purple rose, if there is any shade in rose like this. Okay, purple rose. So all of us agreed upon this fact when I gave red rose to that girl, that yes, he is proposing her. But When I gave purple rose, nobody could say anything. What is he trying to do? We got confused because we do not know. We have seen red rose, but we do not know the meaning attached to that purple rose. Okay, phenomenologists simply argue that world is illusion. Social world that you see around us, around yourself, is nothing but illusion. You know, why do you see social order? Like, for example, let me, break it like this. What will happen? You will, after this class, you will go to market, have some cold drink, or you will sleep for half an hour, or you will sleep for 1 hour. Okay, after 1 hour you will have another class. You will go to market, spend your Sunday, come back to class Monday. But all these things are happening very smoothly. Okay, you have paid someone, he has enrolled you, you have taken admission, you are taking notes, you are going out, and then having shopping, again coming back to home, again back to normal life. But why these things are happening very smoothly, normally? Because all these things are those things that all of us have agreed upon. Agreed upon. If by chance, for example, why this class is running smoothly? Why? Because you have this norm inside you. When teacher is explaining something, we should be silent. Okay. The moment you disrupt this norm, the classroom as a structure would not be possible. What is the norm in establishing classroom? You need to have blackboard. You need to have this, you know, this table, this chair, and you need to have this structure building. Okay. All of us have agreed upon these basic things which are required to have a classroom possible. Now, suppose in this classroom, instead of teaching, I start playing cricket. What will happen? And it happens also. Okay, अभी क्लास खत्म होने के बाद हम क्रिकेट खेलने वाले सर यहाँ पे प्लान है हमारा. So this classroom will convert into a cricket ground. People will be fielded accordingly. So this is classroom only when all of us agree that it is classroom. Otherwise, it is not classroom. The moment I ask my friends, cricket खेलेगा? आजा यहीं खेलते हैं. हाँ चल. Then it will become cricket ground. Social order is illusion. You know why? When you become IAS officer, you will take few things for granted, which is a gift to the social order to you. And what is the gift of social order? When you sit in your car, white car with that light, the moment you sit inside the car, you will have someone to open the door for you, open the gate for you. Salam, sir. Imagine nobody is there opening the gate for you. You would have to come out your own, on your own, open the door all by yourself. But you do not do it. You have this order in mind. As an IAS officer, I have all the privileges before me, I have all the people before me. But this is illusion. All these things have been created just to make sure that you always believe that you are IAS officer. The moment those people are gone, you are not IAS officer, because you need people. You need people every time to believe that you are IAS officer. If you do not have people saluting you, praising you, opening the gates for you, calling you for conferences, you would not feel you are IAS officer. It is these events which are making you feel. It is not simply cracking exam that would make you feel IAS officer. No. This social order. You need to have gardener. You need to have bungalow. You need to have lawn, big lawn. And there is no objective reality. These are social. This is social order. This is how reality has been constructed before you to make you believe that you are IAS officer. Any actor. You must have seen many web series. Okay. Where you see people acting like IAS officer. Recent one. Okay. Recent one. Aspirant. Basically, world's longest advertisement. Okay, aspirant. Anyhow, so so anyhow, in the age of information, there is one scholar, Baudrillard, John Baudrillard, a postmodern scholar. He believes that today you cannot differentiate between content and advertisement. The advertisement becomes content. Okay, but however it is relevant to your life, somehow you believe because it is about IAS officer, so you would take it as content. Okay, those people who are enacting as IAS officer in that web series, you will relate with them because everything that has been projected in the web series is something that makes the social order of Rajendra Nagar possible. If you see, if you see in the aspirant web series, if you see, uh, you know, the shots of America, Hollywood, you would not feel, it is aspirant IS officer wala web series. You would feel something else, you know. Although it can be for IS officer equally applicable, na IFS hota hai wahan par, but still you would not feel unless Rajendra Nagar is shown. You have this order in your mind. Only then these things are making sense to you. Agreed? अभी क्या कहते हैं? Yes. So phenomenology, simply write one line. I'll explain it later on as well because you will keep reading this every time now, every time. Okay, थोड़ा टाइम लगेगा आपको समझने में, थोड़ा सा टाइम. Social world is an illusion. Social world is an illusion. Social world is an illusion. And what we call as order, social order so called, what we call as social order becomes possible only when all of us agree upon that. And what we believe is social order becomes possible when all of us agree upon it and share it. Agree upon it and share it. When I gave red rose to that girl, why it made sense to you? Because you agree to it. Red means love. The same red would also imply stop. Okay, when that red color you will see on the road, you will figure out the meaning of red is changed. On the road, you would not see red color as a proposal by the traffic policeman to you guys. You would understand it as stop करने के लिए. The meaning of anything is not objective, it is highly contextual. Social world is illusion. It is only looking orderly to you because all of us have agreed upon it. Has anyone ever seen this movie? Mulholland Drive, the psychological thriller. If anyone ever feel interested in watching psychological thrillers, you can let me know. Yes, sir. अरे प्रांशु क्या बात है? Mulholland Drive. Okay. All the movies that shatter our mindset. All the movies that shatter our mindset. Shutter Island. Okay. Why these movies are fascinating? You know why these movies are fascinating? Because it destroys our social order. It destroys the way we think in real world. And that is why these be Inception. Okay. These movies destroy the way we think. That is why we get anxious. ये क्या हुआ? ये क्या हुआ? Phenomenology simply says our world is ill. It becomes orderly because all of us have agreed to give it certain order. Finish. Now next is ethnomethodology. अरे 440 हो गए. Sorry. 440. Any question? Should I explain ethno methodology today or tomorrow only? Because I took 5 minutes break also, so बदला मत लेना बस मेरे से. Today, tomorrow ही करते हैं. Okay, let us do it tomorrow. Any doubt if you have regarding whatever was taught to you, you can ask me. Otherwise, we will deal with the doubts tomorrow itself, ना. 4:40 हो गया. No doubt. Doubt आएगा कभी कैसे? इतना सिंपल है सोशियोलॉजी. कैसे आ सकता है डाउट? ठीक है, चलो. गुड इवनिंग टू ऑल.